Hey guys, what's going on? Yeah, it's gonna be real quick in this video. Just wanna keep some activity going because I'm gonna be slowed up because they got me. They got me good. So I got hacked. So I lost my Facebook page. I don't have my Facebook page, and I think they're doing this by the design. A lot of the people that got wiped out are content creators, conveniently, and I think this is kind of suspect because it's designed to bait content creators. Perfect mousetrap because there was a scam going around, this phishing scam about meta copyright infringement, and it bagged a lot of people. And I'm not a reckless, careless, foolish person at all. I'm very careful, but this type of thing is a perfect mousetrap for somebody like me because I get copyright strikes all the time. I get all these violations. I get all these pull downs for misinformation, which means I'm telling the spot on truth. So yeah, there's this phishing scam that looks just like it comes from Facebook. It looks exactly like it comes from Facebook, and a lot of people got hit with it. And I think the first time I got that email, I ignored it. Or that Facebook message, and I ignored it. And then they keep hitting you. They keep hitting you. They keep hitting you. And I think one of the things I do a million things in the same 5 minutes. I'm a multitasker. You have to be if you're someone that hustles like myself. And you do multiple things. You do several things at the same time. And I'm in the booth doing voiceovers, and I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I have phones everywhere doing different things. And one of those things pop in. And once again, for somebody like me, this is not unusual to get a copyright infringement thing from a Facebook, IG, YouTube. YouTube is the main offense. But, so yeah, it becomes the perfect mousetrap because then I'm going to click to see, okay, what is it today, guys? What did I do wrong? Did I say 2 + 2 is 4? Did I say a man is a man? Did I say a woman is a woman? Am I in trouble for this? What's the story today? What's the misinformation? What's the copyright infringement that you made up? So I clicked. Long story short, they took over my Facebook page. They changed it to copyright infringement, meta copyright infringement. My email got hacked. They took over my email. They got into my phone and one of my bank accounts. So, yeah, this happened before. I hate to say. This is not my first rodeo, but they weren't able to get anything off me. Because like I said, it's not my first rodeo and I know what to do. They're blocked everywhere. There's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can steal from me. But they did succeed in stealing a lot of my time, and they did take my Facebook page. I don't know that I'm going to get it back. So for any of you who are subscribed to, friends with me, I know that some of you are, and you've send me stuff daily, weekly. I didn't block you. Like my page is gone. That's what happened. I did not block anyone. I didn't delete my page. My page was stolen. Why I think it's suspect? It's just too good of a scam. And when this is happening, Facebook, their response is terrible. There's less people complaining. Because some people were able to get their pages back. And it's not from Facebook. Facebook's helping nobody. It's people who are resourceful, making videos, instructing everybody else, hey, this is what you need to do, and you might get your page back. Facebook is not helping anymore. You can't even get anybody on the phone. This is the new world where, you have these big, huge entities, and they're useless. And they do nothing. There's no support. There's no any human you can get on the phone. Something like this is so pervasive. So many people are getting hit by this, and there's no response from Facebook. This shouldn't happen. It's from people being resourceful. And I got help from following videos telling you what to do. But there's still roadblocks. Sometimes Facebook has these built-in things that if you click this too many times, it disables your account. So not only is my account hacked, when you try to get it back, it blocks you because, hey, you pressed this too many times. It's a madhouse. It's a complete madhouse. And, It's a sign of the times that these companies, these entities are too big. They're too big. You know, they need to be split up. They need to be monitored. They need some kind of governance so that things like this don't happen. There's people who are on Facebook for like 30 years. I don't know if it's that old. People who haven't been on Facebook for like 20 years, and their pictures, their private moments, their interactions with people. Me personally, I have exchanges between people who are now deceased that I really want. It's a big deal to have people's pages wiped out. But I think they do this on purpose, and they're allowing this on purpose because they're trying to get rid of people from the blogosphere. And I've been targeted for years. And I've explained to people, hey, it's getting crazy out there. It's getting serious because they want to get rid of voices like myself because they want you to have the 80-20 grifters. Everybody loves grifters these days, and they're listening to grifters who give you 80% of the truth, but 20% of what they do is toxic. And people they can't see where they're being led energetic. Everyone's fighting, separating themselves, bickering, and the energy is not good. And people don't understand because they're not very high vibrational that beware of this type of energy or where people are leading you. And people have to learn to know when to support someone and when to back away from this person or their rhetoric. It's not good. The chess masters know exactly what this clown is doing. But the people, they don't know. They don't understand. They think these people are heroes, and they don't get it. And I'm seeing so many people fall by the wayside because they don't play chess. They don't know how. They don't know what the end game is, and it's to energetically ensnare you away from where your vibration should be in order to fight the real fights on certain issues. You're too busy running around fighting nonsense, fighting each other. That's where they want you. But anyway, so yeah, guys, so I did not delete my page. I did not block anybody. There's just a high alert for scams. We're in an era in which this is very bad right now. So be careful. Don't click things. Especially if you're a content creator or a truth channel, watch out. They're creating well-designed mousetraps. And they got me. And that's why I haven't been posting. There's always reasons why I haven't been posting. Because they don't want certain types of people who are going to just give you the truth. And a lot of people don't want the truth right now. There's a lot of biblical parables and biblical stories that are good. They're ancient stories that tell you a truth. It's not supposed to be, adhered to as a literal historical text, but they're messages, the truth. And, there's the story of Jesus who was blameless, who was faultless, and was trying to tell people the truth. And they put him up. They gave it up to the people and say, hey, we can free him or we can free Barabbas. And the people said, Barabbas, give us the Barabbas. He's from where we're from, and he talks our talk. And it's like, well, this man is faultless. You do understand Barabbas has a criminal history, documented criminal history, and blah, blah, blah. Give us Barabbas. This is where people are right now. Love Barabbas, and they hate the truth. Anyway, what's going on in the news today? Israel and Hamas. I'm going to leave that alone. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about it. I just, I don't want to upset anyone. That's not fear. I'm not afraid to say whatever I feel like. I've always been that way. But my intention is not to offend or get anyone angry. And I got to do the friend thing. I have a lot of Jewish friends. Most of them, they don't care. They're not Orthodox Jew. But I do have some Israeli Jew friends, and I had conversations with them in them before. And I kind of just stay away from these things because, like I said, I'm not afraid to talk or share my opinion. And I tell my opinion to these people to their face. But when you do stuff public, people are just so petty right now. People are just so fragile. people get so easily triggered and offended, and they just can't take opinions. And, it's sad. So I'm going to walk on eggshells, not for fear of speaking, because I don't have that fear. It's just that my intention is love, and my intention is not to offend and enrage. So, with that said, I'm going to comment on what's going on a little bit. There's a lot of people and a lot of Jewish activist writers. I follow a bunch of them who are speaking out against what's going on. And that's interesting. A lot of people, you see the media and the politicians, they try to give you this very simplistic worldview. These are the good guys. These are the bad guys. And it's all bullshit. They're liars. They're con artists. And they're actors on the main stage. And they try to lull you into this simplistic worldview. These are the good guys. These are the bad guys. It's not like that at all. And there are many, many dissenting voices in Israel. They don't want you to know that. Western media doesn't want to know that. There's been many protests from Israeli Jewish people against the Israeli government. So there's a lot of, support for Palestine from Jews. There's a lot of, people who have different views, but they want to lull you to sleep into this worldview, good guys, bad guys. And if you think that one group is the good guys, one group is, and another group is the bad guys, you are an idiot. End quote. Moving on. It's a lot more complex. And let me explain to you Hamas. It's an erected group meant to be a boogeyman. Does it represent people of Palestine? No. It's doing what it's meant to be doing. And who funds Hamas? Where did they come from? They don't want you to think on that level. They want you to just think like a little child. But they're there to be a boogeyman. It's kind of like Black Lives Matter. And it's this group that's acting on behalf of black people. But who are these people? Who funded them? Where did they come from? It's not really a black organization. It's a white liberal, feminist, LGBT front group doing all this stuff in the name, and it's a democratic conglomerate. But it's not really grassroots black people. It's an organization that had an agenda that used black people. And a lot of black people got, tricked into supporting it because they supported the hashtag, not the organization. They were about the hashtag and what they believed that it meant. And so a lot of people with very good intentions supported Black Lives Matter, but they didn't know who the hell created this thing and what the end goal is. And it's kind of like Hamas, like these groups come out of nowhere, but they don't represent Palestine. They're a terrorist group committing acts of terrorism, and this is not what the Palestinians want.
The Palestinian militant group Hamas has carried out brutal acts of terror against Israeli civilians, and Israeli and American leaders are always keen to tell us how dangerous and evil Hamas is.
The inhumanity of Hamas.
I have no sympathy for Hamas.
That keep shelling Israel with thousands of rockets and mortar shells.
But what if I told you that Israel helped create Hamas? Officially, Hamas, which is the acronym for an Arabic phrase meaning Islamic Resistance Movement, was founded in 1987, at the start of the first Palestinian Intifada, or uprising against the Israeli occupation. But its roots were planted much earlier. The Hamas founder Sheikh Ahmed Yassin was a half-blind, disabled Palestinian cleric and member of the Muslim Brotherhood. The Brotherhood had been repressed by the Egyptians in Gaza prior to 1967, but once the Israelis invaded and occupied the Strip, they didn't just turn a blind eye to these Islamists, they encouraged them. See, the Israelis, especially right-wing Israelis, wanted to undermine the power of the dominant Palestinian political force at that time, the nationalist PLO, at the heart of which was the secular Fatah party of Yasser Arafat, their bête noire.
بغصن الزيتون في يدي وببندقية الثائر في يدي.
By empowering Sheikh Yassin and the Muslim Brotherhood, Israeli leaders thought they could divide and rule the occupied Palestinians, play them off against each other, secular nationalists against religious Islamists. So in 1978, when Yassin wanted to officially register his Islamic Association, which was basically the precursor to Hamas, the Israelis were only too keen to help. Yassin built and grew a network of Islamist social institutions across Gaza, including schools and clubs and mosques, and Israel helped fund some of those projects. Most American politicians have no clue about any of this, although the former Republican Congressman Ron Paul once made this point on the floor of the House.
Hamas was encouraged and really started by Israel because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat.
Arafat himself told an Italian newspaper, quote, "Hamas is a creature of Israel." He even claimed that former Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin admitted as much to him, calling it a fatal error. Now, you might be wondering, why should I believe mad Ron Paul or the famously shady Yasser Arafat? Well, you don't have to. You can believe top Israeli and US officials who've basically owned up to all this. Brigadier Yitzhak Segev, for example, who was the Israeli military governor in Gaza, and later told a New York Times reporter that he helped finance the Islamic movement. "The Israeli government gave me a budget," he said, "and the military government gives to the mosques." Colonel David Hakam, who worked in Gaza in the late 1980s as an Arab affairs expert in the Israeli military, has admitted that the original sin was Israeli support for Yassin in the late 70s. But at the time, he has argued, nobody thought about the possible results. Well, Avner Cohen did. Cohen was the Israeli official who was responsible for religious affairs in Gaza for more than 2 decades, and who now says, quote, "Hamas, to my great regret, is Israel's creation." Yeah, Cohen's words. He actually wrote an official report to his superiors in the mid-1980s, warning them not to play divide and rule in the occupied territories and calling on Israel to, quote, "break up this monster before this reality jumps in our face."
Yeah, so it's very convenient. You got to understand how the world works. Jordan Maxwell used to always say this. People just don't understand how the world works. And Hamas is in its origin, it's very suspicious. It doesn't represent the people of Palestine, and what they're doing is horrendous, and a lot of it is allowed. There was an Israeli Jewish soldier who spoke out on TikTok. There's a few people who spoke out saying, they have a dome, okay? They have some of the most advanced military technology on planet Earth right now. And you can't encroach on their borders without being detected and shot down. It's not happening. It's not going to happen. And if it does, people are saying, we believe that this is actually something that was allowed.
I'll tell you who was a bystander here. Israeli intelligence. It's shocking, really. You think elite espionage, you think Mossad. They've carried out operations in different countries. They've infiltrated enemy organizations. They've killed Iranian nuclear scientists in Iran. Yet they could not track this. An attack right under their nose. How did that happen? Was it overconfidence, poor intelligence, or something else? How did Israel miss all of this? Well, according to some officials, they did not. Apparently, Israel did have information about these weapons. Unfortunately, they could not connect the dots. They failed to realize that it was all meant for one single attack. Other reports say Egypt also warned them. They cautioned Israel about an impending attack, and once again, Israel ignored it. In other words, this attack was preventable. But let's forget intelligence for now. Let's also focus on what else could have gone wrong. For starters, the technology. It went wrong for sure. Israel and Gaza are separated by a massive barrier. It is made up with 140,000 tons of iron and steel. The total cost of building this was $1.1 billion. Israel called it the Iron Wall. Around 65 kilometers of this wall is underground, so no tunneling business either. You had hundreds of cameras, sensors, and command posts. The idea was to prevent all types of attacks. But look at what happened on Saturday. Hamas bulldozed through the iron wall. They literally cut the fencing wire in some places. What happened to the cameras and sensors?
They allowed this to happen because you can't get on, Hamas is running around and, bombing and snatching and kidnapping. You're like, we can't do this with the military advanced tech that they have right now. It's not, a lot of people are not buying it. And you got to understand how false flags operate. Yeah, there's false flags in which, there's a whole bunch of actors, crisis actors, but a lot of the false flags are actually real events, unfortunately, where these things that you're hearing are true. People are being kidnapped, killed. And, my heart goes out to the suffering of any people. And it's a shame. And you got to understand how the psychopaths, they will sacrifice their own people for an end goal. Now, let me just explain, and many of you know this already, but for those who are just listening, getting information that you don't usually hear anywhere else. People need to understand how the world works, the modern world works. In the old world, nations just did what the hell they wanted to do. If I want to invade this country, I'm going to rape, pillage, steal the resources, and it is what it is. You've been conquered. But in the modern world, nations want to appear, they want to maintain the illusion, and I say illusion, of civility. This is the modern world. We have, there's rules to war now. In the modern world, nations don't want to just do stuff that the average person would deem barbaric, evil. All of us are following some sort of morality, whether we're religious, whether we're spiritual, whether we're just regular people who just have a good sense of right and wrong. In the old world, you were just subjects, peasants, serfs, and didn't give a damn about what you thought. This is what the nations is doing, and they had monarchy, and you were not it. You were not in the oligarchy. Now, they operate in such a way that they don't want to upset the people, because when they lose the people will revolt, the people will turn up. They don't want that. So in order to control the masses, they do things wanting the public's approval. And because they do things wanting the public's approval, and they need to maintain the illusion of civility. How do they do that? They do that through false flags. They do that through wagging the dog.
Okay, good. Put the village behind her.
Give me some flames. How about some screaming?
Screaming's good.
Some sound of screaming.
Okay, we're gonna do it again, sweetie. What's her name? Stacy?
Tracy.
Tracy. One more time, Tracy. You're doing fine. Look at that girl. Doesn't she look Albanian? She looks like she was born and raised in Albania.
Mm-hmm.
Are we ready yet?
How soon do you think we'll be able to get this cut?
Oh, we're going to be done in about 4 or 5 hours.
Oh, that's good. We can leak that to the press. They can downlink it on Telstar 401 Transporter 21.
Makes you glad you've lived this long.
And this just in, a Newsbreak special report from the Albanian front. We've just received information that the young Albanian national fleeing in this video is attempting to escape terrorist reprisals in her village. America has seldom witnessed a more poignant picture of the human race than that which armed conflict.
Fantastic.
Great. That was good.
They used the same process with the last Schwarzenegger movie.
Fantastic.
They do that, creating events to give them the justifications to do what they want to do. So, like, for instance, if they want to invade this country and steal the oil or steal the lithium or steal whatever, they're not going to just do it because the people will not be happy. The people will not be patriotic. The people will be disgusted with their leadership. And that's not good. That's revolution. So they don't want that to happen. So what they do is they orchestrate events to give them justification. So things pop off. They plan the whole thing, and then they say, oh, look at what they did. Now we got to go in. We have to defend ourselves, you know? And this is how the world works today. And so now in the modern world, all nations spend a lot of money on patriotism. Watching football games, American flag and the Eagles, proud to be in America. America is one of the most brainwashed, indoctrinated country in the planet Earth. They just don't realize it. It's just we were raised on American exceptionism. But America's worst in the world for so many things. Blind patriots. All nations promote patriotism because they need to get you on board with a concept, an idea, so that you don't realize that this is just a corporate entity in which you are a subject. You are owned property of this corporate entity. They don't want you to know that. They want you to be patriotic and stupid. Many people are, taught to them, but they want you to be patriotic and stupid, and they want you to be in support of what your nation does. Like, for example, in the 60s, they were losing that battle. Vietnam, nobody was happy. There was protests in the streets, John Lennon, the hippies, like, we don't like what America is doing right now. So patriotism was on the decline when America and its agenda and the military-industrial complex all were being exposed. All the stuff that the country was doing was being exposed. So they spend a lot of money towards patriotism, and they spend a lot of money toward propaganda. There needs to be a narrative that we spin every time we do something. Every time nations attack, every time a nation goes to war and does anything, they need to sell the masses, the people, a story, a narrative. These are the good guys. These are the bad guys. If you go through your history, what we learned, there was always a villain. There was always a bad guy. These are the good guys. We, the Allied forces, we're the good guys. It's all bullshit. There's us and them. You know, when the nations attack one another, they have their own perspective. And we get sold on a narrative. They have to sell their people a story. And the people have to zealously believe their nation is in the side of right. So that's why you see a lot of wagging of the dog. And, you know, the unfortunate thing about what's happening in the Middle East is that Hamas is doing a lot of evil, and they're doing it conveniently and suspiciously on and from Palestinian settlements. So naturally, Israel gets to, you know, violate the Geneva Code and bomb Hamas. But that just happens to be in Palestinian settlements. And according to the Geneva Code, you're not allowed to bomb residential areas. You're not allowed to bomb schools and churches and where people are. But that's exactly what's happening. They're being bombed because they have to defend themselves. And so they're attacking Hamas, wink, wink, and they're bombing these settlements, and innocent women and children are dying. It's ugly. And our Western leaders, politicians, and media want to sell us a story of good guys and bad guys, which is all lies and bullshit. It's way more complex than that. And a lot of what is going on is demonic, evil. And they're censoring the internet because they don't want you to see the footage of what's going on. They don't want on either side, because they don't want people to actually see what war is. They don't want you to see, you know, a lot of the footage of the retaliation, because I'm telling you, people will want it stopped. They will want it stopped. This is evil. This is sick, twisted. And like the people in charge, people in control, they're still the same people, and they're reptilian. They don't have souls. They're psychotic, demonic psychopaths. And their job is, their goal is just to make you think that what they're doing is on the side of right. So they use all this propaganda. They use the media. They use all these tools that they have. But that world is ending. People are waking up. Look at the Twitter feeds. Look at the X feeds. Retarded. X. Whatever, man. Look at the X. Hopefully he'll change that soon. But, people are waking up, and these tools of the modern world we're heading towards a paradigm shift. People are changing. People are evolving. They cannot control people with the same tools of deception. And so I'm just going to say that. I don't want to offer an opinion or side with anyone, because people are, they want to label you. They want to stick you on a side or on a team. And I'm not on a side or a team. I'm about truth. I'm about justice. I'm about fairness. And it does exist on both sides of the fence. But governments are evil. Whether we're talking about the United States, whether we're talking about Israel, where we're talking about world governments are evil. The word government means mind control. The etymology of the word is mind control. So they're lying, they're creating narratives. So, it's time to be careful with narratives that governments are pushing. And I think that people, when they emancipate themselves from the mind control of their governments, we realize that we people want to come together. We want to end all of this madness, and we can do that without our governments. Our governments are creating this madness. Our governments are behind a lot of the puppet shows, and a lot of the war, a lot of the things that are going on. And it's because our governments are spearheading all of this and trying to deceive us, to get us in support of war and killing. And you know what? There's a lot of people who will give you they'll push something in the media and use that to make you emotionally deny the humanity of these people. They're not human, so we got to do this. Don't let any psychotic piece of shit demon tell you that somebody else is not human. That's not what we're here. And no, that's not the energy that you want to go down. There's always, it's never what they say. It's never black and white. And I'm here not an enemy of Israel at all. I'm not an enemy of Palestine, and I'm not leaning. I'm just saying that it's time to wake up, not listen to these stupid politicians who are liars. They're professional liars and con artists. I was listening to Tim Scott speak, and, there's people who are erecting themselves to speak, support Israel, no matter what, and just bomb them, and they're bad guys. People that are getting up to tell you that these are the bad guys, these are good guys, they're liars. They're liars. And the new world begins with the elimination of them. I don't mean deaths. I'm not talking about that. But when we outmode them, these liars, these con artists, these charlatans, political charlatans, the media pundits that are here to control your mind and simplify the arguments. There's a book of many. This is one of the books I like to quote from, and it talks about how the average person, this is the lies my teacher told me. In this book, it breaks down how your education system has led us to where we are today, where people are unable to think, to reason, to realize that things have a lot of complexity to them. They're gray. They're not black and white. And, our educational system, our media, it's all designed to make us stupid. So we just believe whatever they tell us. And from the book Lies My Teacher Told Me, they break things down. Within history texts, for example, the omission of crucial facts and viewpoints limits profoundly the ways in which students come to view history events. Further, through their one-dimensionality, textbooks shield students from intellectual encounters with their world that would sharpen their critical abilities. Further down, I mean, there's a lot of stuff where it breaks this stuff down. And further down, it says the dominant culture actively functions to suppress the development of a critical historical consciousness among the populace. That's very, very profound. The books are telling you what's going on. Here, in polite academic language, Griffin and Marciano tell us that controlling elements of our society keep crucial facts from us to keep us ignorant and stupid. It's good stuff. So, like, when you're listening to the war, like rumors of war, conveniently during, right before November election, understand that there's things that are put on. They want this stuff to happen because they want to Hegelian dialectic. They want to, hit you with something and work on your reaction so that they come in with whatever they decided on a while ago. This is what they were going to do. They just needed an event to do it. And unfortunately, it entails terroristic acts, and it's unfortunate. And, we are moving towards an enlightenment period where, we want all of us, Jewish, all of us want a world of peace, respect, fairness, and we'll get there. We just, we have to get through this shitstorm, and it's unfortunate, What else is going on? And listen, I'm not giving an opinion. I'm just kind of giving you a breakdown of kind of what's going on, and not to get yourself too caught up in emotion and support of war. Because the people that we should be most concerned with, it's not the people of the land, it's the governments of these people who are doing a whole lot of stuff, and it's important to listen to one another and not be emotionally charged because we're listening to our governments and our media and our politicians charge us up when they're liars, and we should know that by now at this point. We need to live by love of all people. And when we get to that vibration, when all of us rise up to that vibration, we're going to outvote all these people, governments, politicians, and we will be able to connect one another without interference from the demonic psychopaths. And it's a world that I can see, and I'm co-creating it with anyone else who vibrates up to do that and see that same vision. And that's what they don't want. They don't want you to access your power, because once we do, as a collective, they're done. Their world is over. They're finished. They don't want that. That's why they're going to emotionally compromise you and get your frequency down to believe what they want. Anyway, moving along. Oh, Joe Biden. And the Democrats are having a rough time. He's probably the worst president in the United States history. Oh, he's definitely one of the worst presidents in United States history. Joe Biden is a terrible president. And to be fair, he's not really running the country, because we haven't really had a president since 1963 to compromise the puppet position. It's just public theater, and the president nowadays is just the elected face. Who would you rather? I believe it was KRS-One that said something very brilliant. He was describing the presidency. The presidency is like the manager of a fast food restaurant. He's not changing the menu. He's not gonna change anything, but he's there to make your experience better. And that's what that's what their job is. But Biden is one of the worst presidents of the United States. He was president of mask and lockdown. Just get vaccinated. He's an evil man. He's such a liar. Anyone who votes for him this time around, I think that's an IQ test. And I think you need to be mentally evaluated if you vote for Biden. Even the fact that this migrant situation is happening on his watch. How incompetent. thousands of unvetted, undocumented people filing into your country. We just had a pandemic. We don't know these people's medical histories. We don't know if this guy has AIDS, gonorrhea. We don't know if this guy is a mass murderer. We don't know anything about these people, but just come one, come all, filing into your country. Any president that allows this should have been taken out of office, because this is just not. And the idea of a sanctuary city is completely idiotic. Case in point, Egypt. I was listening to Kim Iverson the other day. Egypt is not letting Palestinians into their country, and the Western media wants you to believe that it's because they're the bad guys. No, that's not why. It's because an intelligent country does not let 2 million people into their border. They can't house 2 million people. They don't have the resources to take these people. So it's not anything personal against the Palestinians. It's just that, there's people who believe the Israeli government is trying to run them out, bomb them after Hamas attacked, bomb the Palestinians, bomb them so that they go running and leaving and escape into a nearby nation. And so nearby nations like Egypt are saying, no, you can't come here, not because we hate you, not because we're taking a side, not because we're involved. It's just that we have to protect our borders as a nation. We can't have 2 million people come running in here. So good luck. We're going to deal with what Egypt has to deal with. The United States don't have, leaders smart enough to make that stance, especially Democratic ones. Come one, come all. The fact that Biden allowed this should be one of the most paramount reasons why he should never, re-election should just be off the table. All right, who else you got? Not Kamala, and not Biden. You need something else. It's not going to work. He was a terrible. And anybody voting Democratic now should have their head checked. And I'm not speaking from a conservative point of view. I'm an independent. I don't label myself. I'm not on a team. But just talking politics right now, the Democrats have showed you who they are. I think they're dealing with they're dropping in popularity and support, especially in the black community, because people are starting to realize, finally realize who and what they are, bringing in the feminism, bringing in the gender confusion, bringing in the migrants, bringing in this terrible party. They're a party of mandates and lockdowns, and they're the party of gun control, false flags, and gun control. We need to take guns. We need to take guns. Sexual confusion. So let's emasculate the men. You see the pattern here? All the men, the real men, let's emasculate the men. Let's take the guns away while we emasculate the men. Oh, and now we have all these fighting age migrants coming in with UN cards. A lot of people talking about that. So we're dealing with an invasion, all done by the Democrats. We have a debate. Not all the are getting paid by the UN, but a lot of them are. A lot of people are talking about that. You have a lot of fighting age men who are getting paid by our government and the UN to do something. I wonder what that is. And they're coming in the hundreds of thousands of people. What's going to pop off? What's going to go down? Your government is up to something. And a lot of people know that. And thanks, Democrats. And a lot of people don't want to leave the plantation. I'm not telling you to go to the other plantation, because I don't believe you should be on a plantation at all, because they're both plantations. The right has its shtick too. For example, there's this little, twinge of racism, like sanitizing racism. Anything black is bad. And I see a lot of black conservatives that talking like, it's like, when you see, a monkey acting like a dog, you see a cat act like something's wrong with this guy. Not sure what it is. Like, if you see these black faces taking all these anti-black stances, I'm not feeling this energy. not sure what this is about. What do you mean? Like Candace Owens, like she's very sharp on issues. She's very sharp, and I support a lot of what she says. But again, it's this 80-20 grifter stuff. She also, is a bootlicker, which is dangerous when the United States is a known police state. And yes, there are plenty of good cops, many of whom I know personally and have to go off my own experience. Me personally, I've been helped tremendously by cops, but I also know that there's bad ones. And when you have an organization, an entity, any group that lets its bad seeds, bad apples off, the whole organization is tainted. No organization, no entity pushes bad apples through. And when they do, we got a problem. And there's a lot of abuse of power. There's a lot of police brutality. There's a lot of murders, homicidal officers who get away with it. And it is pervasive in this country. We are the most jailingest country on the planet. There's a private prison industry that is booming, and nobody talks about these things because they want you distracted. And so when you have a grifter come and lick boots, that's the energy we don't want. And you have this anti-blackness that comes from the right, coming in the guise of logic and reason, and no, that's why a truly sane person is not tied to either party, because there's a little bit of this they want you to get. All the grifters, they get you on the worm on the fish hook is the truth that they bring, but they got 20% of their crap that they kind of come to brainwash you and to get you on board. And that's why I can't talk to certain people. If they're too liberal, don't waste your time. But if they're, very conservative, sometimes there's issues that they won't bend on because people just think with their herd, with the group. And the truly sane, high vibrational person is not tethered to any label and any group, anything. You're alive, you're awake, you're healthy, you're spiritually sound, you're high vibration, and you're free. Your mind is free. Your mind is not trapped by any rhetoric, by any team affiliation. You're not clanning up, we are them and we are you. Get away from these people. Get away from these people. Been trying to warn you. That's why on my email and my Facebook and my channels are attacked, because they don't want anyone telling you the truth. They want you to continue to run with Barabbas. Well, I'm going to end here. Hopefully I didn't say too much. For them to take channels I have left. I can't even see, but because the sun is right in my eyes, I could see nothing. But yeah, we're in some very trying times, but it's good. I'm enjoying the ride. I chose to be here. And everyone who's older than me says, yeah, I just came from a lunch with some awesome people earlier. And, one was a lot older than the rest of us. Yeah, what we're living in now, it's crazy. And, this person has been alive and a young person in the 60s and 70s. And if he's saying that, we're in some interesting times, but we're in a paradigm shift, and the dark always serves the light. The darkness serves the light. Even the stuff that they pull, the false flags, people are waking up from them. People, they're making mistakes as they do it in a time of enlightenment. So even the things that they do, the things that they try to do, it is serving the light. We're in the time where it's serving the lights. That's why you shouldn't fear what they do. They're slipping up. They're making mistakes. They're getting desperate. And yeah, they're going to be doing things that are terrible. But more and more people are going to take those they live sunglasses on and they're seeing the matrix. So that's the good thing. The darkness serves the light, and we're here for a ride. We're here having an experience. So just go with it. Just go with it. But know who you are and play the best version of yourself. And that's all you need to do. Know who you are, be in touch with your instinct and gut feelings and continue to be a high vibrational, powerful entity on this earth and be the best version of yourself, and you have nothing to worry about. It's going to be a roller coaster ride and things are going to get a little crazy, but we're just going for a run and you know, stay high-minded, treat yourself well, with self-well and others. Actually, I had some downloads. I have to revisit certain situations and relationships and fix some things because, you know, that's what we're all here to do, is to live out the best version of ourselves. All right? The sun is beating me up, so I'm going to run now. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care.